This is a podcast from the Queen City Podcast Network.
Welcome to Nerd School.
Nerds! Nerds! Nerds!
Yeah.
Suck it, nerds!
Nerds! Nerds! Nerds!
Suck it, nerds!
Nerds! Nerds! Nerds!
Suck it, nerds!
Visit me, daddy ass.
Welcome to Nerd School.
My name is Low Key. Welcome to the Nerd School podcast. You jerk.
TBJ in the house.
What a way to start the show.
Yes. Hello.
Welcome back. Finally, TBJ has come back
Finally.
to the Nerd
And
School
back.
podcast.
Greetings all. Greetings all.
And she
That's
used
right.
to talk about her favorite Marvel movie, possibly.
One of favorites. Yes. I am excited. I am ready. I rewatched and just went through some emotions that I went through the first time again. And I was like, Then I got really excited because there's about to be an exhibit in Raleigh from the designer who designed the costumes for this show, opening at the end of the month. And it was just like perfect
Really?
time for me to talk about Black Panther.
Is
Yes.
it going to be like an exhibit at like a museum or something?
Yeah, it's the North Carolina Museum in Raleigh. Or North Carolina Art Museum. I can't remember the name.
Yeah.
But they are about to have an exhibit on Afro-futurism
Ooh.
featuring her. And I was like, count me in. I will take the train over to Raleigh and
Yeah. When you
soak
say
that up.
her, it features the costume designer for this movie.
Yes, Ruth.
Ruth Carter?
Who is in fact the first Black woman. Here we go on Women's History Month. She's the
Yeah.
first Black woman to win an Oscar in that category. So big up,
Boom.
Ruth.
And she won it for Black Panther.
At this point, she's won it twice.
Boom.
For
Did she
both.
win it for Wakanda Forever too? Or
Yep.
is that the second one?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
She is killing the game. And so that came up on my feed in the last couple of days and then watching it. And I'm just like, yes, all the things. Yes. And this
All
also
of
just
them.
reminded me of how we felt culturally,
Yeah.
like as a people
Mhm.
with brown and black skin when
Yeah.
this movie came out.
Oh, look at her. Okay. Ruth
Yeah.
Carter.
Are you looking at it now?
Yeah, I'm just looking her up. Yeah. This is interesting. Because one of my big questions was going to be, I mean, I know you guys love this movie, but like as I watched it and the costumes really was a big question of mine. I was like, I didn't even look or search anything. That was going to be one of my questions. It's like, did people feel this was authentic? Did they like the design? Did they think it was, I'd imagine if it was done by some crazy white comic book guy, it wouldn't have been received as well or have done as well, obviously. But I didn't even think much into it other than
No,
did you
I will
like
note
this?
the beautiful
But now,
thing
yeah, it was cool
about this movie and the vision was there's so much in here that is pulled from actual countries in Africa that are not just for movie purposes. So costuming, language, these are real things utilized in this movie. They were very intentional that if they were going to do it, they were going to do it. And there's no flaking around it. And I love it for that.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
also just a good movie, but
Yeah.
Great
Besides that, but just very colorful and beautiful design and everything with
because that's
things like
how our
that.
ancestors be.
and it's not something you would see like the thing. Have we mentioned that we're talking about Black Panther? Have
Oh,
we introduced that?
I don't
Dear
even know.
listeners,
I don't-
welcome to the episode featuring Black Panther.
It's just not a thing that had been done on this scale before.
Right.
Like we had Meteor Man and Blank Man and as actual like legit, well, not even, I don't know. I think Blank Man was just like a comedy, and that was
I was gonna say
probably
Blank Man wasn't really, I mean, it was legit for us as a people when it came out. I watched that guy.
yeah. I haven't actually seen Blank Man. Is that like offensive to the differently abled at some point? Because I sort of imagine that.
I mean, all comedy at that point was probably, I haven't seen it in a while, but I'm willing to bet
Oh, it was
money.
Damon Wayans when he did that character that was, yeah, if I remember, that
Which
was
is,
the
I think, is also, I think it came out of In Living Color.
Living Color.
Yes,
That's what I
it was a
gonna-
lot of that crew on this project.
Right.
Oh,
Uh,
on Black Panther, a lot of the same people.
No,
no,
on
on
no,
Blank
no.
Man,
Blank Man.
where
Oh,
he was
a
like,
lot of the living color people are like, sorry, I missed a step there.
Keep up, Joe. Jeez.
Yeah.
yeah, just like
yeah.
this level of focus on African culture, Black culture, on the level of a major tentpole blockbuster action movie. That just like
Mhm.
this was a new level of respect to
Oh, wow.
the culture.
She's worked on a lot
Yeah.
of stuff. I'm gonna get
It's
you.
one of those
sucker.
things where, you know, you have to see it. And I'm sure Andy will fill us in with the comic book details, but like, it's not a new thing. Like Black Panther didn't just come onto the scene. Of course, were there vanilla people upset that the strong Black hero was featured? They're always upset.
Yeah,
But it's not like they made him.
it's I was gonna say, like, I feel like the nerds are more angry at women lead characters than male lead characters.
A little of both.
They're a little
They
more
are okay
misogynist
with
than
Black
racist.
lead characters as long as their lights aren't diminished. But it's all out war on all women. Yes.
Yeah. It's the
White
nerds are
male
ridiculous.
fragility 101.
Yeah.
You can see it in your comic book store near you sometimes.
Mm. And some of it is just straight up male fragility too, because
It's the can't get
hell
a
yeah.
girl type of guys, as our star said. That
It's my favorite kind of fragility because they're like, oh, women are so emotional. And I was like, are we? Because some of us have tantrums and some of us don't. And it's not usually the woman having a tantrum unless it's a Karen.
Those darn
So
Karens.
is saying Karen a misogynist? Like, I feel like it's. I mean, I guess you're
Karen is a Karen. We say a Karen. That's cultural.
Yeah.
That's not misogynist. You got your own versions. Okay. Y'all pull a Kevin sometimes.
Kevin. That's right. I was gonna say it's Kevin or Brad.
Yeah.
Chad.
Chad. Chaz.
When I try
Chad
and
is-
think of like harnessing the strength of a mediocre white guy, his name is Chad.
Okay.
Sorry to all the Chads
Oddly
out
enough,
there.
I think Chad is incel terminology for alpha males that they're jealous of.
Yep.
Really?
So,
Yep.
yeah.
So
Huh.
weird.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about her Ruth Carter's
You want to go with me?
filmography.
Well, ask your
Uh,
wife if she wants to go with me, Joe.
Oh, she would probably
to
really
this
want to
museum. I know. That's why I said
Um,
we can have a date. You and Art can do whatever.
She worked on I'm Gonna Get You,
Boys
Sucker,
will be boys.
Do the
Yep.
Right Thing, Mo Better Blues, House
But
Party 2, Jungle Fever, Malcolm X, What's Love
Yeah.
Got to Do with It, Crooklyn,
She's done a
Money
lot.
Train, Clockers, The Great White. I mean,
She's a
Babs,
queen.
Babs, baby, Babs. Ah.
But
I mean,
think
just-
about all that
Yeah.
work and a lot of that, while good and cultural, like I watched that in my household, it is not mainstream, a lot of that work, right?
Yeah.
And so this was her getting her mainstream, dude, because this movie came out 2018, right, Andy?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
So the fact that she is the first Black woman to win an Oscar in that category in 19 season. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. And she didn't even start her first film wasn't until 1988. So you're talking years of
Right?
films that, yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. That's cool. So when did you say this exhibit is going to be? Do you know offhand or just like
Starts in
coming soon?
April 1st, I think.
Okay, so you
it
do
starts
know, yeah.
April through August. So if you're living in North Carolina, April 1st through August, I think it's at 6th. It will be at the Museum of the Arts in Raleigh.
Wow. And it's you said it's an exhibit on future what was it called?
Afro-futurism.
Afro-futurism.
That's a
Which like so this Black Panther, this version of Black Panther is based off of the Ta-Nehisi Coates run of Black Panther, which
Yeah.
leans heavily in the Afrofuturism.
Also,
I-
if you haven't read Ta-Nehisi Coates, go do that.
Ta-Nehisi Coates is a great writer. Also, little plug, Ta-Nehisi Coates, West Baltimore native.
Oh,
Is he?
We grew up probably 10 minutes apart from each other.
You got his phone number?
I don't know him
So
personally.
you're not friends with him like
I just know he's
Joe
from West
is
Baltimore.
with everyone else.
But you were in the same room at the same time, right?
I was in the room where it happened, maybe.
You were where the magic happened.
Were you in the room where it happened?
Well,
Yeah,
this,
he
yeah,
is an excellent writer who doesn't just write comics. So let me note that he
Yeah,
has done some YA literature and some other
Between the World
literature.
and Me is all. Was it Between the You and Me? No,
And
Between the World
then
and Me.
The Water Dancer
The
is one
Water
he.
Dancer is good too. Yeah, yeah.
It
Yeah,
is.
he
So he's a
started.
fabulous
Yeah.
writer who took over the
Mhm.
writing of this comic.
He started writing it in 2016, but a lot of this movie and a lot of the characters and concepts are taken from the Christopher Priest run of Black Panther started in 1998 when they launched the Marvel Knights imprint.
I beg to differ because like the Afro-futurism aspect of it wasn't always a big thing in Black Panther comics. Like
Dora
look at the books. Look at I don't want to say the more recent,
So
but look
let's
at
call it a hybrid. How about that?
Yeah, well, we can call it a hybrid, but if you
Mhm.
look at the books that were made a little bit before this, and it's different. It's not like you don't have the same vibe that you had when Ta-Nehisi Coates started writing the book.
Well, Coates went like full on, like, let's go to outer space. Let's
Right. And
let's go.
that's the Afrofuturism part of it.
And I just
Afrofuturism
know-
is the mixing of science fiction and African culture to some extent.
But I'm just saying the Dora Milaje, Zuri, Nakia, Okoye.
Yeah, the characters, but I'm talking more of the environment of Wakanda, like how Wakanda
So
evolved.
again, can we say they took inspiration out of two
Still
worlds?
want me and Andy to battle.
I do not want to battle.
I'm not
Not
like
today.
I can't speak too much to the Coates run. I know of it and I've read some of it, but it's unfortunately fallen after I really got burned out on comics and haven't been reading much.
Yeah.
But just like from like the initial concept of Wakanda was pretty much this idea of this hidden nation of high-tech, unbelievably advanced society that is secretive and in this continent that is too often like white people don't know shit about it and think it's all primitive farmers, and they play with this a whole lot throughout the movie.
yeah.
And so that was kind of the thing back in 66 with Fantastic Four number 52. Stan Lee, Jack Kirby introduced T'Challa.
Oh, so T'Challa
Right.
started out, and Wakanda was introduced in Fantastic Four.
Yes.
In that like, so it's like a thing where they go
Mhm.
there for some reason, and
And
Black
that's when-
Panther shows up.
Yeah, actually, I think the first thing that happens, if I recall correctly, is that Black Panther sort of invites the Fantastic Four to visit Wakanda and under the guise of a cultural sort of thing, and then he springs a bunch of traps on him because he's trying to test his mettle against the superheroes of the era. And this is 66, and that kind of fits in with the idea of that Priest did in the Marvel Knights run, where like he was a long time, like since the 60s, Black Panther was, he was like the first black superhero, even though he's like the king and the thing, but he was like the first thing, and he was in the Avengers as in that regard, but then like they sort of revealed that he only joined the Avengers to spy on them and make sure they weren't a threat to Wakanda. And that's the difference between being like a regular superhero and what Black Panther is he's a king, and he's the protector of his country. He's not just a guy looking for revenge. And
he's not avenging anything. He is just protecting his people. Andy, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Priest like one of the first Black comic book persons in mainstream comics?
One of them,
One of the first writers,
like
acknowledged in the mainstream.
Yeah, he was originally
what's the name again?
It's Christopher Priest, but he was originally I think James Owlsley.
I think
that's
Owlsley.
his real name. Yeah, and he wrote during the 80s and a lot of stuff like that, and then like after he took over Black Panther and kind of just made it sort of this amazing, like just sort of opened up the world a lot, because Black Panther didn't have, like, outside of Jack Kirby doing a lot of jungle action in the 70s and stuff, and there was this writer named Don McGregor who did a lot of fleshing out of nooks and crannies of Wakanda and like traditions and like the geography of it. Like he created like a whole map of Wakanda, and Priest took a lot from that, but And then after this, Priest sort of started resenting being pigeonholed as the black writer.
Yeah.
Like people that only pitch him black
Which
characters.
I understand. Yep.
Mhm.
Oh, and he early on he was an assistant editor for Larry Hama, who Artstar and I met and became kind of basically best friends with.
Yeah.
Are you best friends with him?
Yeah.
I love it. You have this wonderful relationship with Don Cheadle and with Larry now.
Don
Great.
Cheadle, Larry Hama, Artstar, and I are the new Wu-Tang.
Forever.
A new Wu-Tang clan.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
It's our own version of it. No, but so Larry Hama kind of said the same thing. Like he would also get like pigeonholed as an Asian comic.
Priest was the first black writer for Marvel Comics.
And he goes by Priest, like just Priest. That's kind of cool. This is cool. I didn't know about this guy before. I haven't heard about him before. So,
this movie. I mean, not to. I mean, because this was in development before Coates even started writing Black Panther.
It was.
So, I mean, I'm sure there's elements, and I'm sure he was a consultant. But a lot of these concepts and stuff are based on the Priest stuff, and it's always been hidden high tech world, and like the isolationist nature of Wakanda. But yeah, this is just this. I was so excited for this when it came out, and because I was a big fan of this Marvel Knights run, that's made me a fan of the character, just because it was basically taking like a character that is just sort of it hadn't had the respect it deserved. It was sort of taking you in there, and he gave it a little like a sarcastic white boy point of view character in Everett K. Ross, who is in this movie. He's a bit different in this movie than he is in the comics, but they sort of like the conceit was, all right, this guy who is our point of view character is assigned to be an attaché for Black Panther for like 3 days on a cultural visit, and suddenly he's just completely involved in the entire geopolitical madness of Wakanda in this world of superheroes, and it's and he's way overwhelmed all the time, and he's pretty funny about it. But this is a lot of fun and a lot of cool to see all this stuff come into life. I was very excited to see how they do it, and they did it a hell of a lot of justice, and I really appreciated it.
Yes,
it was worth it.
I think,
and like,
go ahead.
Before you even go, we even got to the movie yet.
Yeah,
but I just want to talk about what it did. I mean, we're getting to the movie and the details, so we can get just questions answers. But I want to know, on top of what Andy is saying, like, people were waiting for this, and not just people who loved comics. People who were waiting to see themselves on screen were waiting for this. So if you think back to that time and people going to the theater to see Black Panther, everyone was going, like, it was like a family reunion. We were picking outfits. What are you wearing? This is what I'm wearing. I got my travel print pants on. I made my own Black Panther shirt for the movie when it came out. I wore it to work that day. I wore it to work ready. It was ready to go. And it was so, like, every theater was full. It was hard to get a seat. I had to sit in the very first row, which is never where I sit for any movie. It's too close for me. But that was the only choice I had to see this movie. And it was so big. We were in rehearsals, rehearsing a show in Matthews. And the director was like, I know you guys all want to see this movie. Please have the day off from rehearsal and go see the movie. Like, it was that big that everything trumped what was about to happen that weekend to prep to go see this daggone movie.
Yeah, I went to saw like a special early sneak preview thing where I got a little commemorative coin, and I took my Black Panther action figure and just took pictures all over the theater with it. I was that's how excited I was.
That's a nerd.
It was a
You're such a nerd.
Like, it was a thing.
Correct.
You call Andy such a nerd.
Yes, he's such a nerd.
So Andy, how did you get that? How did you get that deal where you got to see it early if you weren't working in comics anymore?
It was no, like some theater was hosting a special screening, and then like if you paid like a little bit more money, you could get to go see like it was like the first screening, like, and as soon as I got out of that screening, they had started screening it for everybody else. So I just was technically the first.
You saw
to-
before those people did.
Yeah.
And you were probably like
Hey,
dying to spread the
Do it if you
word.
can.
Yeah.
Had you
yeah.
planned on seeing it like super early?
I wanted to see it as soon as I could. Just because I was so happy that they were incorporating all these characters that
was there any trepidation about anyone like worrying that they were going to screw it up or it wasn't going to do it justice or
sure
anything
I
like
hadn't
that,
seen
or-
I don't think I'd seen
Well,
Chadwick Boseman in anything.
Here's my thing. Like
other
Yeah,
than
I had
Civil War,
so I
I
wasn't
guess,
worried
but-
because all
Yeah,
he
he-
had done was iconic roles. So
So
for
you knew he'd be good.
me,
I mean,
Chadwick,
he was
I'd
already
take
in
it on
Civil
1,000.
War. Yeah, he was already in
Yes, but
Civil War. So
Oh,
for
that's
me,
right. That's right.
He
He was
played
already
Thurgood Marshall. He played Jackie Robinson. Like he had
Yeah,
already killed it
everything.
in all of those movies. So for me, I was like, yes. And then hello, Michael B. Jordan and Lupita Nyong'o. Like,
well, see,
come
I
on.
had seen Fruitvale Station, which Ryan
Oh
Coogler
yes,
also
with Ryan.
directed.
Yes.
so
So
Ryan
it's kind of like
Coogler,
you
the
kind of
director.
going in,
Yeah.
kind of going in. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, it's gonna be good. Cause also,
Yeah, that was his
kinda,
first.
I was kind of
big
biased
movie.
because going in, I'm black, so to me, like, oh, it's just. I feel like it's
You
a
are?
Marvel thing, and if it's a black person doing it, it's probably gonna be good. You know,
Yeah.
he not gonna Medea this motherfucker.
No. You're right. Art. I
Is that a
completely
verb?
forgot about Fruitville because Fruitville Station was him, and it's the first time him and Michael B. Jordan partnered up on the big screen. And obviously, if you look at their history now, they partner up a lot.
Yeah, they're in
Um,
Creed,
Creed.
right? Is what he does too.
Yeah, they work together a lot. Ryan knows who he wants to
Fruitvale
bring on
Station.
projects. He is smart about that. But that was, if you guys haven't seen Fruitville Station, bring your emotions, bring some tissue, bring your rage, and
Yeah.
go watch that.
I'm just looking at the. Somehow I got into a preview of it. Like it automatically IMDb plays videos now all the time, and I can't stop them. It's like making my connection slower, I think. Anyway, but yeah, now I want to see everything. I want to see all these things. I've fallen down a rabbit hole on the internet here with Afro-futurism.
Let me
There's
see
some
all the
beautiful
things.
art online that I'm looking at that I
Oh, come
wanna
on
go-
in. Come on
Yeah,
in.
I mean,
Take
so
it in.
cool, so cool.
Appreciate it. Don't
Yeah.
appropriate it.
Yeah,
Appreciate
I won't.
it.
I won't wear any of the things. I just want to see it. Like, it looks cool.
Appreciate. Don't
But yeah,
appropriate.
like the
for the general
pictures-
public.
It's just art. Yeah, it's just like cool, artistic, and this movie was very beautiful. A lot of it, like the,
Yes.
just everything, and the costumes. Like I said before, like, and I think the craziest thing is, is that some of the people that are in this movie that are just have small roles, like Forrest Whitaker and Angela Bassett. They're just like afterthoughts almost, even
I mean,
though
they're not
they're
afterthoughts.
amazing.
They just have small roles.
I know, but like
They don't speak a lot.
but nobody
they're
even
not
talks about
afterthoughts.
them. Like, I mean, it's such a great movie that you don't talk about. But I'm like, Angela Bassett's in this too. She's
I
badass. Angela
always
Bassett.
talk about Angela Bassett. I don't know where you are,
I
Joe.
mean,
if
I
she shows up on a screen, I'm standing
I
from
could've used
the
a-
moment she appears.
I could have used a little more of her, like fighting people, like kicking people.
Joe just wants to see fights.
I want to see Angela
Too
Bassett
much.
kick ass every time I see Angela Bassett.
Angela Bassett was one of the leading content. I don't know if she was actually in contention, but like for the longest time before even the first X-Men movie came out, everyone wanted her to play Storm.
Storm, right?
And
She
this
never
is
did?
kind
No,
of
you,
proof.
but you know
no.
what movie she kicks butt in? God, what is that movie? She plays a librarian. There's like a group of librarians and they all fight. Hold on.
It's not blah, 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 blah.
How Stella
Because they're
got her
like
groove back.
secret agents.
How the
Is
librarian
it
got her
355?
groove back?
355?
Is
No.
that it? Where the girl was raised by her mom and her mom was friends with the three librarians?
I can't remember now. I
Okay, so
cannot
there's
remember
this
now.
movie. If you want to see Angela Bassett fight, and all of the librarians are like middle-aged women, so I think it's badass that this happens. But there's this woman who
It's about
is on the wrong
badass
side of the law, but
librarians.
is trying. It's not about the badass librarians. It's about a woman who was
Hey, librarians
raised
can be
as
badass.
a hitman. She's a hitman-ish, and I think her target is like a kid or someone she can't kill, or someone that is something happens, and so now she's in crosshairs, and so she goes to the only place she can find comfort, which is her mother's old co-workers who work in this big-ass library. There's three women, and they fight people off, and I don't mean like little fight. it would make you proud, Joe, if you want to see Angela Bassett kick some ass. That's a movie. I'm gonna find it and tell you, but that's where you see Angela.
Gunpowder Milkshake.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, okay,
So it's
yeah.
otherwise known as Sweet Librarians Badass Song.
I mean, they're not in the whole movie. They come towards the end, but
I just Googled
if you want to see her
Angela
fight
Bassett
and like
librarian.
fight as a badass,
Yeah, I want to see everything.
that.
Angela Bassett's just always great. So I don't know. So
She's
I think that was one of the
wonderful.
things. I was just like, Angela Bassett needs to we need to all shut up and just let her talk. But she's.
I mean, you got to give
Yeah.
that note to your people who have been standing Angela Bassett since the dawn of time.
Have been standing.
Like
the new kids word of stan.
I don't know if it's new, but like I stand. Big fan.
Well, you could also think Stan Eminem, like
I thought, it's from Eminem, right? I thought you were saying standing. You stand.
No, the
I
phrase
thought in the theater you stood up, and every time she's on the screen, and I was like, "Well, that'd get annoying in the front row in that movie." People must have been like, "Sit down."
No, Joe. The
funny.
word
standing.
I stand. No, you don't standing.
I'm
Like
still
I
learning.
stand.
I'm still learning the young kids lingo.
I think that's a young one, Joe. I feel like that's an old one.
It is. Maybe it is.
I think it's. I mean, I say a lot of words, but I don't think that one.
It's within the last 5 years or so, I think.
Andy, take your shirt
Maybe
off.
it's like you're beyond a regular fan. Like you were a mega fan. Like that's.
Yes, I get it.
If Angela Bassett came to town, I'm dropping everything.
You are a stan.
I stand. If she comes on the screen, I'm shutting up. I've
Well,
watched every movie. If you say Angela Bassett is in this, even for 5 seconds, I'm gonna watch it. I stand.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So she was great. Yeah. I can't remember why I brought that. I wasn't saying.
Oh, you were noting how many people had smaller.
Oh, and I just say, how many people are in this? I mean, besides, Chadwick Boseman and Michael Jordan together. I was just when I was watching those guys fight, I was like, who would TBJ choose out of these two guys?
We got Mr. Sterling is he has a bit piece in it.
Sterling for
K,
different. Both for different reasons.
What's his last name?
Sterling K. Brown.
Yeah, and Denzel.
Well, and then Winston Duke.
Hello.
Really
Yeah.
hello.
That is one of my favorite things.
Have a harem, okay? She would just have brother husbands at this point. If we had to do this, there would just be brother husbands. But I do want to talk. While this movie had a bunch of small roles or smaller roles for big name people, it also gave people who never like the older woman. There's an older woman who is throughout the scene, but she does have a speaking line or two in the fight scene for his title. That lady is like in her 80s and has never acted in her life.
Really?
And like showed up to an audition to like be a part of something. And there she is. So it gave everyday people a chance to like shine.
I loved that old woman. Every time she made it because they kept on, what do the elders think? And they would show her, and I'm like, yeah, I want to know what she thinks.
I'd love to know more about the dynamics. There's the merchant tribe, the river tribe, the Jabari.
I feel like they could do so many
border
movies
tribe
on
with
all
Wakabi.
I think me and Andy yesterday we was talking, and I was, this is kind of jumping, but then like how Nakia ended up pregnant, kind of thing. And it was like I couldn't recall whether or not.
Spoiler alert for the
spoiler for the next movie, I guess.
I couldn't recall whether or not that there was like a prequel comic to this book. So like how they did with Black Widow. So you could have like little things like that where you get to see things that on the outskirts of the main city in Wakanda, where you see like the other different tribes, and you get to see more of the border patrol and all of this. So it's like it's one of those things where it's like you wonder if, like, let's say if the novelization of this movie, if that had like, some expansion on to things like that in this movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This is but I mean there's plenty of time for that to have happened, but just off because they had to make a lot of
changes,
adjustments with Chadwick Boseman's unfortunate and I guess, but
Yeah, no, but we don't want to spoil that yet. You're gonna confuse
I'm sad
Joe.
about that.
Art, do not.
I mean, yeah,
confuse-
I don't think my brain can.
I was
take-
just talking about world building in general in the
yes,
Black
but then
Panther,
you, you brought up that one specific thing.
there's gonna come a time. There's gonna come a time when we're
There
gonna
comes a
do these
time.
things, and Joe's gonna be like, "Oh fuck yeah, I know what you guys talking about." You
Well,
don't have
I
to,
mean,
you don't have to dumb it down for me.
we
I'm
are
not that
recording-
dumb anymore.
We are recording this on a day where we got two big pieces of Marvel news. I think, like, I don't know if they were both today, but the one is we heard that Art's favorite Liv Tyler is going to be coming back, or is going to be coming back as Betsy Ross.
Betty Ross.
Betty Ross.
He pulled the art
She
star.
ain't making no
Betsy
flags.
had the flag
did-
and was
Joe pulled
racist.
it.
I might have
Art
did that on
star.
purpose.
Betsy
but-
was the racist flag maker.
But my question, I guess, on that, so that these are side things that bring up questions. But since it's big news today, but she wasn't in a Hulk with
Mark Ruffalo yet.
Mark
She's not
Ruffalo.
been in a movie with Mark. She
No,
was only
remember
in that
there's
one with
more
Edward.
than one.
She's with a different Hulk.
version. Yes.
So is that going to screw up things and universes and whatever?
No, William
they
Hurt
can-
has been in multiple
Oh, William
movies.
Hurt was in.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then the other
And
big
now
news-
William Hurt is going to be Harrison Ford. William Hurt is dead, so they had to recast that role,
Oh,
and Harrison
William Hurt
Ford's going
died.
to play him.
So
Yeah.
Indiana Jones is
I
Thunderbolt
forgot
Ross.
William Hurt died. You ever just forget somebody died completely, and then like it was big news, then you forget? Like, yeah,
And
William
the
Hurt
opposite of that is I could have sworn that guy was dead 20
Yeah,
years ago.
already. Like Abe Vigoda, the Abe Vigoda watch that was going on forever. There used to be a website just dedicated to. It was just like, is Abe Vigoda alive.com, and it for years it just said yes, and then now it says no. It's like because he finally did die. But and then the other thing is this guy playing Kang just got in trouble, but I think I'm hearing now that maybe it's false allegations, maybe.
it's they say
hearing?
there is video evidence that it didn't happen. So we'll see how that plays out. Jonathan Majors.
But this is
What's
what I
Jonathan Majors?
this is what I was thinking about when I saw that. It's like you don't want to believe it, but then it's also you look at it, you step back and you say, like, man, this dude, he hasn't, like, he's been slowly but surely, growing. And like now at the height, almost at the, I don't want to say at the height, like when he's at his most popular, it's like to have something like this, almost like, even if it's false, it's like it kind of, I don't want to say it tarnishes him, but it also gives him this like you wiki
People
him,
associate it
right?
with
So
him.
now
It tarnishes it.
Even if
adults
he's
him a
innocent,
little bit.
yeah,
it becomes a subconscious association of his name with that,
right.
which isn't fair to him. But then on the other side, I feel like it's not fair for people. Like I'm guilty of this sometimes, of not wanting to believe it so bad that I almost do, I
I believe
that's not fair to
everything.
that's not fair to the woman. Yeah, but generally I always believe it now because I'm always like, yeah, because every guy. is a fucking
You
asshole.
could come to me tomorrow and say this person you know and love did this thing, and I'd be like, I hate that is the case. Like you will never
Yes.
see me going, oh no, he would never, because
But then you also
one
realize
thing I've
that
learned about the
that they're
world we
human.
live in, people do some horrible things that
Yeah.
you don't see coming. So
Yeah,
I always err on the side of, dang, I don't understand why he did that.
they did.
Yeah.
And
I've come
then
around to
when
that. Like
Yeah.
Bill Cosby was the biggest thing for me.
It was like world
loved
chattering.
his-
That was world chattering for.
and it
people
took me
my age.
like I had to break my whole thing down in my brain.
A lot of
to-
people did. I did not take that
Not
long.
to equate things like that, but like it's also for Bill Cosby, it's one of those things where it's like it's been eons, and then it's all of a sudden maybe there were people who knew but didn't believe, but then when it comes out, like by this time you've already
Oh, people
grown up.
know.
Yeah,
People
but-
like that.
Right, but most people have already grown up with picture pages and Mr. Jello pudding and all of that. So it's
Yeah.
like it's,
Oh,
it's
picture
it's like
pages was my
whoa. Well,
childhood,
to
man.
some people, like Jonathan Majors, it's like, okay, this to some people, this dude was just becoming a star, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bill
Yeah.
Cosby was a star and
For
beyond.
years.
so
and
it
that was
comes-
a power
So,
thing, I guess.
yeah, it's really like holy shit. Where like Jonathan Majors, like, okay, did he? But then like the next day, it was someone else said something else. So then you start to have the pile on effect. So then it's
Yeah.
like, is it real or is it not real?
Then everybody comes out of the woodwork. Oh, he did this to me once. It's
Or
like,
like, why did someone?
rude
Like, I
to
guess
you
what,
once?
what was it on Lovecraft Country? They were saying how he was kind of, I don't want to say belligerent, but he was kind of like a problem on Lovecraft Country. Like
Lovecraft Country. This is one I wanted to ask.
Well,
you.
the thing is, and I think hold on,
Go
let me
ahead.
finish
No,
this
go ahead.
thought, Joe,
Go ahead.
before
Yeah,
we
yeah.
go anywhere else.
No, we
I
don't
will
have to
know
go.
that our natural instinct, a lot of people's natural instinct who have never had to live through experiences, is to not to believe. But I will challenge you with the stats of the world that more people believe they did it in the world, because if you knew the stat, just for my day job and working with children, the stats of these instances that most of these people are accused of are atrocious. When I say atrocious, the stats are the stats, and these are American stats. Like, these are not in universe. These are right here in our own little country. Just side note, it's not the drag queens you need to worry about.
Okay.
90% of the time is not strangers you need to worry about. But the stats are so atrocious that I find that you actually have more people who do actually believe, but the vocal people who are like, there are still people out here trying to free R. Kelly. Girl, that stuff was on video. Okay.
Yeah.
That's like, give it up. He made a beautiful song a couple times. It does not excuse literal trauma that people have to uncover.
People,
and the thing is, people have always known, because we live in a society. This society was built on males and patriarchy, and we've done the boys will be boys and creative geniuses will be creative geniuses, and he's just letting off self-esteem. And I think when people are like, why did it wait too long? I think we are just coming into a world, one, we've all just got therapy these days, but also people are going, no, that doesn't work anymore. And they're releasing information on what's happening now and what happened before, because they no longer have to hide that stuff. It doesn't control them anymore.
Yeah, I think
that's my soapbox. I'm going to step off it now.
No, that's kind of it. So you have to come to realization that two things can be true. Somebody can make beautiful art and
you
say
can be a
things
creative
and do beautiful
genius
things
and
be
a trash human.
Yeah, and have done horrible things. Like,
yeah,
multiple things can be true, and that's the hard thing, is nothing. Everything's not just that person's good, that person's bad. Well, that person's donated $1 million to save orphanages, but he also
I'm good, Joe. I'm great.
You are good through, except
this is the dark side of standing, is that you have to be able to step back from your standship, your standhood, your Stanliness.
Yeah.
You have to see people as humans, and we have put interesting people on pedestals, and they are human. They are just humans with human flaws, and we are flawed AF as humans. And people cannot see it sometimes in a major way. And don't let it be dudes have the worst time seeing other dudes be trash.
There's times when
back to male fragility.
Well, I don't know. That's a whole nother thing. It's like a philosophical thing I've thought about. Like, I've heard somebody praising somebody they knew that does this many things. What great things, and what wonderful. And I've known things about that person that's not so great, but I just shut up, because why is
also noting,
just let that person be happy and think about it. What's it going to do to let that person know?
Well, it depends on what they did, because I will spill the tea. But
like, that motherfucker trash human. No matter how much,
like, is that your friend?
He cool.
That
guy
trend,
might seem cool, but he ate my schnitzel. My schnitzel was in the fridge.
I would be
Clearly
like,
marked
that's
with my
interesting that you find art friendly. That's real interesting.
Wow.
Art is great. In my opinion, here are all the ways he sabotaged my life.
Do you know he's a Sith?
I do tell people that. I have told many people that when I'm sitting next to him and they say nice things, I go, but is he nice?
Acknowledge me.
Is he nice? And because he don't talk to that many people, sometimes they just think he's a nice, friendly guy.
Well, most people don't think he even can talk. Like,
right?
He doesn't talk. Oh yeah, sometimes he never shuts up. Get a couple drinks in him and put him on a podcast.
There are people like, he talks to you. I know. We literally talk to each other. One, we are a team who talk all the time, and it's recorded. But two, we've always talked. You just have to have certain things to talk to him about.
Right.
Okay, so this is
that small talk shit.
Directed by Ryan Coogler. You guys briefly mentioned him real quick, but and I was just kind of throwing there. Oh, he directed it, but you guys, everyone here was aware of already of Ryan Coogler before Black Panther.
Yeah.
Just the guy who's not aware of anything. But
I
so
think he did the
Jodo,
first
you don't
Creed
know
before
shit.
this, didn't he?
Oh, was Creed before
The
this?
first Creed had come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So Fruitville Station is the first time he was ever on my radar. I
Oh,
will
we did
note
talk
that
about
my
that.
original intention was Michael B. Jordan, and then through Michael B. Jordan,
yeah,
there was
sorry,
lots of like
I forgot we
interviews
talked
with Ryan Coogler about his process that I was like, oh, well,
Oh,
What?
yeah. My first priority is always going to be a Michael
I
B.
thought
Jordan.
I thought we lost. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and this
We were
So,
just
yeah.
pausing for the dramatic effect of
yeah.
PBJ standing over, not standing,
Standing.
fawning
And him,
over Michael B. Jordan.
I lust a lot
She
over him. We're
fawns
not at
over him.
Stan status because
She
he's still a
fawns
dude.
over him.
Yeah.
Judas and the Black Messiah. Did you guys all see that?
Yes.
That's been a
Yeah.
thing on my list. Is that what should I see first? That
Fruitvale Station.
Yeah. Go
Real-
to the
for-
beginning.
okay,
Well, it'll
just
be
go from
nice
the
to
beginning.
start there, and then you watch how his films shift and change and what they have in common.
Okay.
If you really are looking into it.
Yeah, new thing I want to do, and I think I've probably mentioned this on here before, is like I want to watch directors work like in order, like together to like
Yeah.
watch for
To
that
get
rather
that
than
thought
just
process.
I'm always so focused on actors and like watching the actors work and I want to be more of like a
Well,
watch
even
something
even
from
like
directors.
how if you're reading comics, like a lot of times people tend to always get drawn by the art of the comic books, but then like me and Andy, we always talk about like some writers are amazing writers, like so
Yeah.
then you just want to start trying to find everything that this person wrote, not just he's on this book, I'm only going to read this book, but like no, I want to see what else he wrote.
Is
I
it
want to see what else
weird-
Donnie Cates.
Is it weird or jarring to see an artist work with different illustrators so that like the drawings might be completely different, but it's the same writer and you can still recognize that?
that's pretty much standard in comics. You're not going to get like even like this, for example, Priest, this Black Panther run, the Marvel Knights run that formed the basis of a lot of this film. When it was out, it was a big effort. The Marvel Knights was a way to like take some characters that weren't selling so much, like Daredevil and I think Moon Knight and Punisher and stuff like
Marvel
that.
Knights was a series
Comic
of comic
series.
books.
It was like they took like this, made them sort of an imprint, like an umbrella of we're gonna bring these new hot writers on and artists and creators and team them together on these characters that haven't really
kind of like the Ultimates is a thing, like it's that type
Right.
of umbrella type of thing.
yeah, it's sort of like mostly they were like street level characters, like because back then it was like X-Men are everything,
Right.
but this wasn't like Avengers stuff, but it was like trying to just focus on these unique characters and give them a higher profile, and I guess probably make them sort of movie ready by like,
more
revamping them a
marketable
bit.
and all that. Yeah.
And but this series was part of that, and it was a big publicity thing. And like the Daredevil series from Joe Quesada at that point was kind of went off. Black Panther, this was always kind of, it ran like 50 some issues, but it was always one of those things that was kind of on the cusp. We were always like, oh, is it going to get canceled? It's going to get canceled. Is it not selling well enough? And like the original artist on it was a guy named Mark Texera, who did this really great watercolory paint style. But something happened and he left at issue 7, and then they just had to keep. And you're looking for a team, like a synergy between like the writing and the art. And Priest even talked about it. I read a lot of interviews with him where he was trying to gear the story towards what the artist is good at or likes to draw or how they like to do things and what their
Really?
style is.
Gosh, that's something I would have never even thought of once.
Mhm.
Like that somebody would do.
I mean, not everybody does it. Some writers
Yeah.
will just go, you draw this, I'm
do
writing what I want.
Yeah, do what I say. But yeah.
Yeah, they give
But,
the
and
artist
he had some
creative
issues
control.
because there was some, like, they had to do some subs, like, oh, we need an artist to fill in on this to meet a deadline or whatever like that. And so like there was something in like the teens of this run, like he wrote this really dialogue heavy sequence, like a lot of what's the word, not introspection,
Anal beads.
No, the
What we're looking
Retrospective.
for.
exposition. That's the word.
Oh,
But it was the artist on that issue was a lot more like dynamic, almost cartoony style, and it didn't like it was just like half the panels was like him running, and then like a giant word text of like half the panel was filled up with that, and it was like he talked about how that wasn't quite the right mesh of style because he would have written it differently knowing the artist is on the book. So that's just part of the creative process, and so it's like
that's
it's.
fascinating.
I mean, there are some writers that work with the same artists over and over because they like it. They like the collaboration.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like with anything, you have like,
And the artists do as much creation as the writers do because the artists have to render everything.
yeah,
That's like part of the thing. Stan Lee gets a lot of the credit for creating all the characters, but Jack Kirby did a lot of the heavy lifting to make them.
I mean, Stan Lee might have
visualize them.
said what it was, but then he drew this thing and became.
Well, that's a
real.
lot of controversy behind that book on Stan was really his need to be the one that created it or be listed, even though he wasn't always.
And then he's not the only creator that had that, especially like Bob Kane, creator of Batman. There's a funny comic strip out there that's just like, what if Bob Kane actually created Batman without all the stuff that Bill Finger created? It was just like he's a dumb blonde guy in a little domino mask and like some fake bat wings and a little red outfit. That's it. That's all Bob Kane did. But he, for the longest time, he muscled Bill Finger out of there, and he like demanded to be credited as the sole creator of Batman all the time.
Really? There's like a whole battle about that?
There's a documentary on, I think it was on Hulu, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was basically finally giving Bill Finger his due.
There's not enough.
There's
Bill
also
Finger.
a book. There's a book about it.
Yeah.
There's not enough time in my lifetime. Like I'm not going to be able to get to all the things I want to watch and see.
Beauty of it, Joe, is you don't have to.
Right.
You just take in what
and you don't
can.
have to do it all at once.
Yeah, there's not gonna be a big checklist at the end.
No,
said,
as
you
much
didn't
as
see
we
this
quiz
documentary.
you, there's no.
I just want to know.
There's no at the end of everything.
I want to
about
see
this.
everything that's ever happened.
Everything and at
creation.
all times. Right.
Well, that's all the more reason for someone to sponsor us. Rub on Art's thigh meat to fund us, so Joe
Or
can
even
retire.
TBJ.
and
Wait a minute,
just
did you
do
say
this.
rub on Art's thigh meat?
Yeah, that's what Art's gonna get a sugar spouse, and then
That
he's gonna
really-
rub his thigh meat.
TBJ,
And
that
it's gonna
really
fund us.
rolled off your tongue very quickly, like it's been
Right.
there.
Well,
for a
I think we had a
while.
discussion
This
a
is
couple
not
of
a
weeks
discussion.
ago.
Oh, we always
We
talk
had, we had a
about rubbing on
discussion a
Art's thigh
couple of
meat.
weeks ago
About your thigh
her
meat?
going out. No, about her going outside showing
Me
some
shaking
thigh
my
meat
thigh meat,
to
yeah.
some passerby. But she said she didn't have on the right outfit or something. And I told her
Like,
it
to
wouldn't
To
have
show
made
the
a
right,
difference.
the proper amount of thigh meat.
Yeah, it wouldn't have caught us the sponsor we needed.
I feel like the more we say thigh meat, the weirder it sounds. Thigh meat.
You guys have said weirder things on this
Oh,
podcast.
I know. Yeah, we
so-
have totally. It's just like the words together. Like,
Maybe
your
it's
thigh
also
meat?
because TBJ said it.
oh, and I don't.
She
Yeah, I
won't-
don't
Also,
expect
thick
TBJ to ever
thighs
say
say
anything.
lies.
She won't say
so-
Excelsior, but
Yeah.
she'll say thigh meat.
Because one day this thigh meat is about to pay for us.
Okay.
Big time. Okay. Get on the train.
Oh boy. And then I just learned recently, somebody was telling me thick with two C's has a different meaning than thick with CKE.
Like thick.
Alan Thick.
Yeah, everything means something else that's not Alan Thick, but with two
Most
C's
thick
is like
not Alan Thick.
Oh, man.
thick is like a heavier set person who you're into.
That's those two C's.
These thighs right here.
But
She
thick
thick.
isn't good thick. Yeah.
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 We
This is a
are
different kind of
almost
podcast now.
an hour into this and we haven't even gotten to the movie yet. We haven't started.
Well, we did say it was probably be a three-parter.
Things around the movie.
Yeah, there's a lot to discuss. I
fine.
mean, this we're not going to gloss over or hurry through because you guys have been talking about this and building up to this from
And you
the
say
beginning.
we, but you've been excited about seeing this movie.
Oh, I really
Or
have.
you
And
doing
honestly,
this, so.
I thought I had seen this before. Like, I swear I went and saw it in the theater, but I didn't remember any of this. And I think I was saving it for this, like knowing it, understanding it. And because I think, wasn't this out close about the time we started doing this? I don't know what year we started doing. Oh, no, I guess it was pandemic.
We
That
started in
was-
2019. We started
2019.
pre-pandemic.
But
It
just
came out in
barely.
2018.
It,
But
it-
you and Andy had been talking about doing something like this way before you brought Art and I in. So
we had
maybe
been. We were talking about this but what I will say is if I did see it, it's a sad state of affairs that my memory is as bad as it is. Like there was like 2 scenes that seemed familiar to me.
we're gonna get you a Baloba for your brain, bud.
But I do feel like now that you guys are like teaching me how to pay attention sort of and like watch something and being in the moment rather than just mind wandering, blah, blah, blah. Oh,
Yeah.
explosions and fights. Cool. Forget it. I know, you know what, but I'm like understanding why people are doing what they're doing and who they are in the timeline now that I feel like I'm retaining more of it now than I did then. So maybe I watched it because I kind of remember Michael B. Jordan in that yellow Black Panther thing, the black and yellow thing. And then I kind of remember, this sounds weird, but that like, but maybe this reappears somewhere, but like the post-credit scene where they show that what's his name, White Wolf or whatever
Bucky.
was
Yeah.
Bucky was there.
Sebastian.
But
Spoiler.
then again, I think they might have put that into the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. So maybe I knew it from that. And maybe I saw the Yellow Panther.
Well, there's also the part where
some of the other stuff we watched.
you definitely got some of it from Falcon and Winter Soldier, because remember the Dora Milaje came and basically took the damn arm and did the thing where they disconnected the arm. You remember
Yeah,
that?
that's what I think I'm thinking of. So maybe I didn't even see this movie. Maybe I didn't even see it.
This is one you would remember unless you were
I would
just
totally have
stressed
remembered
out of
this.
your mind.
Because this was so good that I feel like I would have remembered a lot of it. Because it was great. Like I said, it was great, but it was like a brand new movie to me. But I will say a lot of movies are like a brand new movie to me. If there's 2 years, there's a year between it. Like I
That's
just don't
true.
have the brain capacity to retain things. Like I
Yeah.
people will show me videos or things I've said that I don't remember ever saying it. Somebody brought up to me, so we just did the Nerdy Night show on Saturday, and somebody who was at the January show just 2 months ago, said, "Oh, it's good to see you again." I was like, "I haven't seen you in years." Like, we were at the January show. You came and spoke to us. I was like,
Oh, Joe.
I did. So maybe. So kind of another reason why I'm doing these podcasts and trying to record as much as possible is like I have a feeling I might like have early Alzheimer's or something, and I might be just
Don't
gone.
put that in the universe.
I don't want to, but I have a feeling like that's my biggest.
It could just be also mean that you have so much in your mind that you
That's
forget
true.
things.
I might be doing too much.
I'll try, like,
You do be doing too much.
I get tongue tied a lot sometimes when I'm either like I'm thinking something else, but I'm trying to say something. So it comes out and like I literally hear myself either say the wrong thing or like, and I'm like, fuck that. Like I got Tourette's or something because the word I want to say doesn't come out because 5 other things are trying to come out. So it's just one of those things where like, I like to call it, well, I used to always say it's a part of me having OBS, which is only boy syndrome. So it's like I had all these things going on in my mind at one time, and I'm like, oh, you're really hype, hype, like, oh shit, I gotta say this, so and I think as I've gotten older, that's where can I say something comes from, because it's like if I don't get it out, I know like 8 other things are going to try to come out at the same time, and I'm going to be way off about something. And then
I'm hearing
when I'm way off about something, Ando will be there to kick me in the balls.
You in the balls. He gently corrects you.
I feel like
Gently
he
corrects
I
you.
feel like he likes Rochambeauing me a lot.
Yeah, he kind of sometimes has a art star condescending tone to him.
It's a condescending tone just for art.
Yeah,
Andy
Andy pulls out just
herself.
for art. I don't know if Andy knows he's doing it, but I feel like he does. Every once in a while, it's like I don't know. I get it.
Like I be punch him straight in the ball.
I'm glad that Art you have OBS and not OPP. I was thinking,
not IBS, hopefully,
or IBS, which my
No
grandmother.
had. IBS over here.
Lord, we're not
my
talking
grandmother
about poop
would
today. We are
Imodium,
not.
Yeah, we're not.
We're not going to talk about poop today.
Should we try to jump into the movie a little bit? Like we started with the director and the writers. We got to.
Well, I feel like we've been on here an hour. If we start on the movie,
we have been. Should we
like
just?
that
This should be just
deserves-
the pre and the 2 news things that we talked about. Like we talked about Liv Tyler.
our
Is that a good thing?
pre-movie chats.
Yeah, the pre-movie chat. I mean, it has been an hour, so this is an
And
episode.
Yeah, and
have
that way we
discussed
can
it.
start fresh
this is
on
the
the
run up.
actual movie.
This is the run up.
I will be glad too, because I'll give me a chance to. I like to see it
Yeah.
a couple times before we talk about it, and I just barely got
Yes.
through it.
That's
'cause I
fine.
have
This is our pre-show, everybody.
ton of questions.
This is the
like
Black
about
Panther pre-show. Brought to you
vibranium.
by
Like, is vibranium
insert sponsor here.
has been around forever? Is vibranium new to the MCU, or is that been in the comics too? Like, is that the whole
Yeah.
Vibranium was
We can
first
answer
mentioned in I believe
in the '60s? Because the whole
Captain
thing is that-
America. Captain America's shield in the MCU is made out of vibranium, but they didn't mention Wakanda until the Avengers movie. No, Age of
what
Ultron.
I'm saying was it in comics before it was in the like the MCU?
Oh,
made
yeah,
this
yeah.
vibranium thing up, but the vibranium's always been the thing that is how Wakanda got its power, right? Because it was an
That's
asteroid or
the
whatever.
like the Black Panther origin story. Back
Origin
in
story, yeah,
Lee
that's what I'm
Kirby '66.
Yeah.
That's when Claw was introduced as well as like the villain. It was basically Wakanda's built on vibranium, the way it's explained in the movie,
right.
and like they have this secret that only they have in the whole world, except there's different flavors of vibranium like in Antarctica and stuff like that, but that's neither here nor there. But then Claw was like an ivory hunter kind of guy, like the classic. He had like a shitty chin strap beard, like very colonial looking kind
You're
of
talking
guy.
about the comics.
He looked like a
In the comics,
colonizer
Ulysses
for
Claw.
sure.
He was very much a colonizer, and
Yeah.
he like was stealing vibranium, like mining vibranium in Africa, and then like they
Which-
tried to stop him, and then like he set off this like weird sound cannon thing and like killed a whole shit ton of people, including Killmonger's father Njobu. That's how Njobu died in the
Comics, because of Claw wasn't that whole
Yeah.
this whole backstory they've done
Right.
here.
Yeah, like things are a little different, but
Yeah.
it's a little tidier in the movie. But and then in T'Challa, that was when T'Challa was like 8 years old. Like, he sees his father and like 30 of his countrymen die at the hands of Claw, and it becomes this thing that T'Challa has to
So
become
that's
the boy
very
king.
different in this
Yeah.
because he's not a boy king. He's a
Right.
man king.
But that's like a very, and his Ramonda is not in the comics T'Challa's mother. She's Shuri's mother, but he's T'Challa's stepmother. Because T'Challa's birth mother is Niamey, and she hasn't somehow that she was pretty much completely ignored as a character until like she had a no speaking role until 2018 comics. So
really,
it was just, she was just kind of like, oh,
and she's not in this. She's not in
no,
MCU.
no.
Huh.
And
No,
this
in the
Ramonda-
MCU, his mom is Angela Bassett.
Oh yeah, it's
Right.
who's Shuri?
Ramonda,
So they're
yeah.
like actual brother and sister in this.
Right. And Shuri wasn't introduced until 2005 by Reginald
really?
Hudlin and John Romita Jr. Yeah, she just kind of came out of nowhere. And I remember at the time I was really so invested in the Priest run that he was leaving and handing it off to, or like they were canceling it basically, and because they tried to revamp some things with some new characters and stuff that didn't quite pan out. And then suddenly Reginald Hudlin comes on, and like immediately suddenly he has a little sister that has never been mentioned before ever. And I just like, from that issue I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. I didn't read.
I will know that Shuri has 2 YA books written by YA superstar Nick Stone, which are very good. If you have a young person interested in her point of view and just STEM, I think it's nice to see a badass.
So are you saying
feminist.
the character Shuri?
Yes.
Or
So
the
after
actress? Oh.
what Andy is saying, that Shuri didn't come out until the early 2000s.
Yeah.
In the last few years, they've also just pumped her up.
Oh, cool.
Into her own YA series. So she has a YA series. I think there's 2 books that
Like
have
a
been
young
out.
adult book. So
Yeah.
there's like these young adult books using Marvel characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing with Star Wars.
Oh,
There
yeah,
are-
I guess
There are
Those
so
novels,
many
yeah.
Star Wars books.
Yeah, all those. Yeah, and is it
Yeah.
canon? Like, do they have the whole thing in Marvel with whether they call it canon and all this
Continuity.
like Star Wars continuity, or do they not?
Yeah.
fuss about that as
It's
Fits into the
flexible.
world. It just doesn't follow things.
Because not the
verbatim.
MCU, like them. That's why the MCU is different because that's the cinematic thing.
Yeah, it has its
But
own continuity.
Star Wars doesn't
Yeah.
that have?
And Star Wars has, canonical and non-canonical,
In
but
it?
then they also,
Yeah,
as they're thinking about redoing and adding more, they're like trying to pull in older Star Wars lore
Okay.
But but it's also it ends up being, like I said earlier, like world building. So like right
Yeah.
now, I'm actually reading Shadow of the Sith. Yes, of course, a
Of
Sith would
course.
read a book about Sith. But
Of
it's
course
like,
you would.
you're reading about the characters who are from that universe doing they're having other adventures, but in somewhere along the line, they kind of sort of tie back in sometimes to canon. Like if you watch Clone Wars, like some of the shit that happens in Clone Wars, you start to get from other shit like before the battle of was it Yanvin? Yanvin?
Yavin.
Yeah. So it's like you get shit like
How do you
that.
know that?
How do you
Why
know
do I
Yavin?
Well, because they that's how they measure
Yeah, it's like before
time is like
BBY and ABY.
instead of BC, it's BBY
Yeah, and
before
then
the
that
Battle of
gets really,
Yavin.
then it really
My son
fucks
tells
me.
me about all this now. He's
Yeah,
teaching
it really gets
Star
deep.
Wars.
But then some of the stuff still ends up slowly but surely becoming part of canon.
Yeah.
So maybe, it might now it might not be necessarily
Brain hurts.
canon or part of continuity, but then who knows 5 years from now when some other writer picks up like that, like, yeah, let's bring in elements of this. Like, I mean, there are plenty of characters that were created purely for like Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn was made for the Batman, the animated series. And from that, she ended up in the comics. Felicia, what was her name?
Bye, Felicia.
Felicia Hardy, Black Cat.
I forget the fucking chick.
Are you talking about Firestar? Firestar
let
in
me
Spider-Man
finish,
and His Amazing
bro.
Friends.
Let me finish, bro.
Spider-Woman
I'm
from
jumping all over
1979.
He's
cartoon?
trying to help you, and you
I'm
ready to
jumping
fight
up.
Andy.
I'm not even talking about Firestar. That's what I'm saying.
But he was trying to help you, and you
It was an
came at
F
him.
word. It was an F
Andy,
name.
Andy wasn't helping me. Andy
You
was
came
on his
hard
path.
at him though.
He was
in
on
an
his
attempt
path.
to help you.
Andy was on his path to
You
course
just
correction.
want to fight people
On his
today.
path to
Art.
course correction.
Jeez.
I was
My
trying
brain
to.
hurts. We've talked about so many different things, and I
was
keep getting us
talking
off
about
track.
how on Arrow, Felicity from Arrow, she was created for the Arrow universe. They introduced her into the comics from the Arrow universe show. Like, she wasn't a comic character. So you have these instances where it may not be a part of the comic world or the MCU at this moment, but these stories that are being written or have been written at some point along the lines in the timeline, they'll get introduced into it.
Yeah, there's still licensed work under the whole umbrella. So let me know. While Shuri isn't, the two books aren't a part of the MCU necessarily yet. Who knows now that she's taken over, right? What they will turn into, but the writer still has to get okayed by Marvel to write what she's writing. She's not like freelancing a Shuri book.
I think the hardest thing for me to get through this movie was so many of these characters, Nakia and Shuri and Killmonger and Claw, and are all in Marvel Snap. So every time I'm watching, every time they say a name, I'm like, oh yeah, I just like get this urge to like play Marvel Snap, and I have to like pause it and like I gotta play a quick round of Marvel Snap because like
let me pull out a Okoye.
I gotta pull out Okoye and Killmonger and all at the same time, and then Black Panther going Wakanda forever every time, and so I mean there's just so many of them, and it's just I think that game has done what they want it to do. It just infiltrates in your brain, so when you hear those names, you gotta play it. You just gotta, and so
and it gives you a base. Like my wife is playing Marvel Snap a lot too, and I think she's getting more familiar with Marvel characters.
It helps
in
you
general.
know more characters and like them more, and see all this different art that they have of each one too. And I'm like, oh, and then when I see him on screen, I'm like, I know that character. I know who M'Baku is. I've seen him before, and so it's like familiarity or something. Oh yeah, I love M'Baku, and I had no idea.
And this version of M'Baku is just such a great way to translate what was sort of a problematic character into making it a great character, because he was originally Man-Ape, created in 1969 in Avengers number 62. He was a straight up sort of Wakandan villain, but he dressed up in a big white gorilla outfit and all the time. And this one, like, they had the mask when he showed up, and they had like the
right, he had that
the-
mask that he put on.
the-
Yeah,
the fur on his back, or like the chalk powder and stuff.
Yeah.
They implied that without making
Being
it
racist.
super. Yeah,
Yeah,
basically
without
super
trying to-
dumb.
trying to deracify.
But he was like, the whole idea was like they're the clan of the white gorilla, and like they're sort of an outlawed cult in Wakanda, but he just very defiant. But like in the comics, like he had been in the Masters of Evil, the Lethal Legion. He's just been like a pretty much straight up villain. Although I think Priest started giving him some shades there, and but this movie really, and which was great because comic nerds know him as a villain. So every time he's like challenging T'Challa or like denying him assistance, stuff like that, it's like, yeah, this is in line. So you're pretty sure he's not going to show up at the end there to help
so
anybody.
that was
I
a
am not
twist-
going to
that
help
was a
you. We will
twist
eat
for
you.
nerds.
Yeah, it was like
It doesn't
basically when
matter.
he says, "I'm just kidding, we're a vegetarian," that kind of
Yeah.
changed the game for him.
I love
Because
that part. Yeah,
Up
that
until
was
that
great.
point, yeah, they might eat Everett Ross, but
Yeah.
then he's like, "All right, that's when the character is twisted and then becomes one of your favorites because
Yeah.
he's fucking great."
And I think Shuri is one of my favorite people in this whole thing. Like she's like kind of like similar to the Spider-Man thing, the guy in the chair or whatever. Like she's the like doing everything with the tech. I don't know. It's so cool. And she's like
She's the brains.
funny kinda or something. Like there's something about her that's like she's silly kinda.
And I remember like when this movie first came out, I was just consuming everything about it I could. And there was a trend for a while of just people recording themselves doing that opening M'Baku speech. "We have watched from the mountains while your technological advances," like just his just insulting everybody in Wakanda before the challenge. Like people were just so happy to have that character. And I was
funny.
obsessed with there was like 400 of them, and it was just a lot of fun to watch everyone. scream that.
And as Andy says it, he's such a fucking nerd. But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay because that's why we're here.
Do you need
That's
a
why we're
nap?
here.
Like, what do you need?
Yeah.
Because I
He's
feel
a
like this
sick
entire
man.
episode is just you
Why
coming
would
at
I need
Andy.
I
Andy,
feel
did
like
you say something? Art?
listen, where is this when Andy attacks me?
Oh.
Or he attacks
Ew.
Joe? Where is that at? When
He
he
can
attacks
attack
one of
Joe.
us?
That's sibling stuff. Okay, they can do that stuff.
That's deep rooted.
That's they grew up in a
yeah.
household.
But Andy brought an action figure to the movie theater.
I did.
Whole podcast is full of nerds. It's literally
I
But
ain't taking
Art
nerd as
Star-
an insult.
Art-
Artstar brings
Listen,
action figures to work.
I was fucking with Andy with love. That was out
It was
of
love.
nerd
It was
love.
like a
you
noogie.
seem very combative
It was,
today.
listen. If I was standing right beside Andy right now, when I said, you know what I would have did? I would have punched him in the nuts. And you know why? That's what guys do to each other. We punch
Yeah.
each other in the nuts.
And they'd be
No,
they'd be
one guy
shirtless
in-
wrestling.
7th
No.
grade did that, and I hated him for it.
Yeah, I didn't like
But-
the guys that would sack you. I didn't like that either.
Yeah, I don't know what deal was.
I had to tell a person as an adult, a friend of mine, when I was in my 30s, and I had to say, I don't like that when you do that. And I know you think it's funny, but I don't want to hang out with you anymore because you do that. And then he stopped doing that. And so then I hung out with him some more.
I don't know who that is.
It was Brian McCartney.
Oh, okay.
You just put his whole name out there.
Yeah, just put it right out. He'll admit it. We talk about it a lot, but he's not going to listen to this. But yeah, he would,
But
he
yeah,
would just sack me every once in a while. And I'd be like,
But that's interesting is that like Art was using nerd as like as a slight dig, and we're on the Nerd School podcast. Our whole deal is that we're nerds, and we're
Yeah.
sort of
Really.
celebrating the fact that nerd isn't an insult anymore, and
but
yet
then he
it's
used
so
it as an insult.
internalized.
Yeah.
At you
Nerd
at
is
least
still
3
an insult a
times
little bit.
tonight.
Here's
Like,
the
at
thing.
least 3
Here's
times.
the thing. Again, I was using nerd as a term of endearment towards
It
him.
did not sound like a term of endearment.
I wasn't taking it as an insult or anything, but just
Exactly.
it's-
But it wasn't a term of endearment,
Andy,
dude.
Andy knew what it was.
Andy had a
nerd
nerd boner.
recognizes nerd.
Nerd recognized.
Right.
Game
This is like you're
recognized
going,
game.
okay.
But you,
Nerd
Like, you
recognizes
need
nerd.
to recognize
As
when
per-
you're doing something super
Is
nerd.
that a thing
Per-
somebody says? Do people say that? Nerd recognized nerd? Like
I
it's
just
like
made that
game
up.
recognized game?
OG's saying is game recognized game.
Yeah.
That's just their remix.
That's why I wondered if other people have done that, or can Andy like copyright this right now?
Sure,
This'll
let's
be a
trademark
shirt.
it.
It'll be our merch. It'll be our nerdy
nerd recognized nerd.
nerd recognized nerd can be. I mean, we've got a lot of
Hey,
things.
what
we
up,
can put
nerd?
on.
What up,
Yeah.
nerd?
Anyway,
To the list.
we talked
All
about. So
right.
I can't wait to get into the movie next time because like there
Yes.
were times I love when they do this, when they make the villain empathizable. Like I was on Michael B. Jordan's side sometimes. Like I was like, he's got a fucking good point. Maybe I'm on his side, even though he's the bad guy.
A lot of people were.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so you go back and forth, and that's kind of how. And you're like, this
It'll be good to talk about and answer your question.
Yeah,
Well,
good
even
stuff.
T'Challa's on his side half the time.
Yeah, he is, and he is. And
Yeah.
when he storms up, when he's up in the ancestral plane, he's like, "No, you did it wrong. You were wrong." And God, that was a great moment, and emotional. Anyway, so we'll get into all this.
There you go. So next time we'll
Yeah.
actually dig into the movie, friends. But we told you some fun facts, some things to see, and some things to check out
Let's
surrounding
get
the
excited
movie.
about this. Will definitely be a long version, a few episodes.
It's a lot to say.
And TBJ has promised to the next episode she will sing the entire time. Everything she says will be in song.
That's a lie.
Aaron will finally get her to say Excelsior.
At this point, I don't know if that'll ever happen, my friends.
Excelsior.
And I'll let you know next time whether or not Art Star punches me in the nuts next time he sees me.
Yes, hopefully.
Squar.
Let
in
me
the
know. I'll
nut.
fight on your behalf. We don't punch our friends' nuts.
And then you know what? And then Joe come out and Joe's like, "What's going on here, brother? What's going on?"
I
And then
think
I'll
we
just
can.
just kick his nuts over and over again. Just
You
bunch
get,
of
and then I'll
kicks.
fight Joe because
Nut
Joe won't
kick,
hit me
nut
back.
kick, nut kick. Yeah, I won't hit TBJ.
Yeah, we won't hit you back, but we would want people to know that we're just doing this. We're beating Andy up with love.
It's love.
He has already publicly stated that since the 8th grade, he has not enjoyed people punching him in the nuts.
Yeah,
No.
nobody likes it.
Not at all.
Nobody likes it. Scott Brothers.
On
look at you
record.
guys.
Yep.
I just guessed it was. But
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Like they just walk down, hey, how you doing?
those guys might listen to this. Yeah, Bob Scott will admit it. He knows he did that.
No.
I think they listen sometimes. Maybe I don't know.
I don't know, maybe.
Who knows? Hopefully they.
Well,
do.
shout out if they do.
Tweet us
and
if you
shout out
do.
they don't.
Bob Scott and Joe Scott, tweet us, or
At Nerd School Pod.
Instagram us at. Does
At
anybody
Nerd
use
School
our
Pod.
Twitter at Nerd School Pod anymore? Like, does anybody even run that? Andy, you were supposed to run that.
Oh, I was. I haven't.
I mean, the whole world kind of got off Twitter for a minute. So
Yeah. I'm kind of debating whether or not I want to even be on it at all. But I guess.
Yeah, it's real shitty now. Twitter I can barely use it.
I mean, it's had a lot of shit all the
Yeah.
time.
Yes, but it's gotten
now
pretty bad.
it's just. I won't go into that, but it's,
Yeah,
the
we're not going to
evolution
talk
of
about
social media, bro.
bad things of Twitter, but let's get out of here, and TBJ is going to sing us out.
That's your song.
Do it. Do it.
Art
Star
always
it.
There you go.
Art Star's got a good voice.
He'll sing you out. You better put it to some use and get us some money.
I love how you like. Can you be my pimp? Can you be my pimp?
Yeah.
Are you doing the Dana Carvey Ross Perot voice? Is that what that is?
Can
I don't know
Can I
what I'm
finish?
doing, but I
Can I
feel like TBJ is always trying to pimp me out.
I'm just managing the funds that are going to come to our podcast.
From
via
now on,
means
from
of
now
your thigh
on, you
meat.
guys
If
have
you
to
want to call it
me
delicious. She
pimping,
talked
that's
about
You gotta call
fine.
me delicious.
She's getting her
Because
side meat.
TBJ, a pimp named TBJ is pimping me out.
Well, you are
Listen.
delicious. I'm vicious. You're delicious. We all know that.
Gonna
I
rub
ain't
on
calling a
Art
grown
Star's
man
thigh.
delicious.
Do not call me delicious. No one calls
At the
me
next con, anybody who comes up and gives us a certain monetary amount can rub Art's thigh
Yes.
meat.
Please, everyone, come see us at Heroes Con in Charlotte,
Oh,
June.
man.
Something or other.
Summer. Just say this summer.
Yeah, this summer.
We'll give you more details.
We're
and we'll
gonna
give you
do
a chance to
panels-
rub on
Panels every day.
Art.
We're gonna have a day where Andy just shows us action figures, and Art Star.
We're gonna have a whole panel where all I do is play with action figures on a table, and everyone else has to watch me.
Yeah, everyone has to watch me.
Like, no, don't touch my toys.
Oh, that'd be like a thing we used to do when we were kids with all the G.I. Joe toys. Is we had like this big sand pile, and we'd build like a sandcastle or whatever, and then like do like battle scenes where like
That's
one of us
right.
would set up what was going on, and then
Yeah,
while the
that
other one
was
was out of the
fun.
room, and then they had to come back in, and we had to explain what the story was going on, and then
That's pretty freaking
then you'd
awesome.
leave the room, and they'd continue it in a different
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah,
That would
was
be
fun.
make a really shitty panel.
And we'll also, you can also for $1, you can drink beer out of Andy's belly button. Heroes Con, so.
raising
It'd have to
at
be a
his best.
really good dollar.
Nice crisp one.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Rate, review, subscribe. Give us 80 stars. And $80.
Later, nerds.
Peace out, nerds.
Thank you for listening to the Nerd School podcast. Excelsior.
They say I can't rap about the president no more, but evidently they don't see we in the streets still poor. Still more incarceration of my kinsmen by the prisons, and people thinking this election to end racism. Proud over pessimism, glad to see Obama, but don't expect me not to speak out when I still see problems, Mr. Officer. Now they POTUS look like me, you gon' think again when seeing brothers rolling down the street. Every Martin Luther King on his American dream. Still a Rodney being beaten, screaming fuck the police. Me, I'm running through the pasture, trying to get away from master, but the dogs is on my ass, I gotta move a little faster. Can't pass for Caucasian, but I got a couple papers from the plantation saying I graduated. Congratulations, cool beans, but to most school mean trying to dodge STDs, living off government cheese. Trust the government, please. Not even if it was me sitting in the Oval Office as commander-in-chief, trying to give us free, but there's a nigga in my ear saying, you got it, Superman, you ought to kick it here. Get this distinctly clear, I'm all about jetting. Raps Kunta Kinte without the half-stepping. A new chapter, back with new lessons. After that, the final exam. Any questions?
QueenCityPodcastNetwork.com.